Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ryan Hollenbeck and I'm an engineer in Texas. I graduated a little less than a year ago from Oklahoma State University with my bachelor's degree in civil engineering. And now that I've gone through 4 years of engineering school, I had an internship and I now work full-time as a structural engineer. I wanted to go back and touch on some reasons why I chose civil engineering and why you should consider choosing it as your major. Now, civil engineering is the third most popular engineering degree, with mechanical engineering in first and electrical engineering in second. And civil engineering has been steadily rising throughout the years, in part to some of the reasons that I'm about to tell you about. But with our country's rapidly deteriorating infrastructure, I think it is the responsibility of civil engineering students and graduates to continue to get the word out about majoring in civil engineering and what the career has to offer. Now, a little disclaimer before I get into things, these reasons don't only apply to civil engineering, they apply to all different types of fields and engineering career paths, but these are some of the reasons that I looked towards when I was coming out of high school, going into college, choosing a major, and these were kind of the things that I looked at to end up in civil engineering. And so with that being said, the first point is career flexibility. Second is class variety. Third is career stability. Fourth is job availability. And last is result satisfaction. So let's get into it. So career flexibility. You may have heard people talk before about how any engineering degree is kind of like a pre-business degree. And while it has some truth to it, that's not exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, you do get younger engineers who transfer into business after the first semester or two when they just find out it's not for them, which is completely okay. And you also get older engineers who have been working in the field for a long time and they end up going into more management or business roles, sometimes with completely different companies, totally unrelated to what they were doing before. And they're able to do this because they have really strong problem solving and analytical skills that are a huge asset to any company. But this isn't what I'm really referring to. I'm referring more to the aspect that when you go into civil engineering, you have the ability to go into any sector you want. So this can be government, it can be consulting or education. And within those, you can work on roads, buildings, airports, tunnels, dams, bridges, and water treatment. Any of those things. You can even work on stuff that's going to be on Earth or even some stuff that's going to be in space, which I think is insanely cool. And it's what makes civil engineering so special in my mind is that you can truly craft it into whatever your passion lays in. And to be fair, this can be a little overwhelming at times, having this many options, especially at the beginning. When you're going into school, you're already choosing between so many different majors and careers. And then to choose an engineering major and then all of a sudden have a whole nother book of options open up to you, it can be overwhelming. And it's hard to see at first how great of an asset that is. But I think that's why doing your research, having internships, shadowing people as early on as high school, like people in career paths in your hometown, try shadowing them for a day. Even following YouTube channels like my own or other career YouTube channels that kind of seem interesting to you. Do it early on because that's how you truly figure out what you're passionate about, and it's a great way to not get stuck later on in your life. Now, the great part is that if you choose civil engineering and you decide a path of civil engineering you want to go down early on in school, you can kind of mold your classes later on to fit that path in the best way possible. So for instance, I knew I was interested in structural engineering, and so when I got to choose my electives in my last 2 years of college, I centered them mostly around structural engineering. So this leads me into class variety, which is our second point. And this is the fact that majoring in civil engineering sets you up with this super large skill set after graduation due to the just huge variety of classes you're going to take. So at the beginning of your schooling career, you're going to start off in some general engineering classes along with your gen eds required by the university. And you're going to be with all different types of engineering majors. And this is where you're going to learn the fundamentals of engineering that every engineer needs to learn. And I suggest really paying attention to these classes because later on, you're going to need all these basics. And it gets harder, say, if you didn't pay the best attention in chemistry. Later on, when you get to an environmental engineering class and you have to bring some chemistry back in, it's going to be a lot harder to go back and relearn all the basics. Along with that, later on, towards the end of your schooling career, you're going to take a test called the FE, or the Fundamentals of Engineering exam. And this is more important in some engineering paths over others, but with my personal experience, it's very important as a civil engineering major to take this test, as a lot of jobs are contingent on the aspect that before you start, you will have passed your FE exam. And so I'm going to make a whole separate video on what the FE exam is because it really is a topic within itself. But just a brief overview, the FE is basically a summarization of your entire 4 years of school, which sounds overwhelming, but you are given an outline of all the different topics that are going to be on the exam, which is provided by the NCEES, which I'm going to link down in the description. And I suggest that you actually take a look at that going into college to kind of get an idea of what you're going to be learning. When you graduate, what all am I going to know? And that way, throughout the classes, you can kind of keep an eye out for everything as you need it. But basically, the moral of it is once you graduate with your degree in civil engineering, you will have taken such a wide variety of classes that you really do become a jack of all trades. And say if you want to change it into something else later on, you do have that ability because you took all these classes in college, hopefully paid attention, passed your FE, and have kind of shown that you have the ability to work in any of these areas. So this leads me into my third point, which is career stability. Roads, buildings, bridges, dams, water treatment plants, utilities, really anything that civil engineers work on are in heavy demand, and they will stay in heavy demand for the long foreseeable future. Sadly, recessions are just a sad fact of US economic history. But civil engineers are much, much less likely to face large-scale layoffs compared to other career paths and even some other engineering career paths. So if you want to go into a career that has a great history of job stability, which civil engineering does, I would really recommend looking into this career field. So this leads me into job availability. So you may have heard people tell you before that it's not about how much money you make, it's about whether or not you truly love your job or not. And it's also true that no matter how low paying a job is, if you're really, really good at what you do and really passionate about it, the amount of money you can make is truly limitless. However, with that being said, I highly, highly recommend that you look into the job availability of the career you're looking at before getting too far into it. The keywords here are job availability, not median pay. And the most important part coming out of college is just getting your foot in the door. And no matter how good your GPA is or how involved you were, sadly, a lot of careers, you end up not having any need for your career path when you get out of college. I've seen it so many times where people graduate, they spend a large amount of money on their education, and when they get out of school, there's no need for their career, and sadly, a lot of the time, they end up working in career paths that they're not passionate for, that their education just is not related to it whatsoever. Now, with that being said, if you research a career and the job availability isn't great, but you're still so passionate about it that you really want to go into it, then go for it. If that's really what you're passionate about, then 100% you should go for it. And at least you're responsible enough to look at this beforehand, have an idea of what you're getting into, and that way you can make a plan early on so that you're not surprised once you graduate. Now, with that being said, look on Indeed or Glassdoor or any job search website and search civil engineering or any other related civil engineering path, and you're going to find a large amount of jobs available. And really, you can pick the location you want to work in because of the large amount of availability. And that's what's so great about civil engineering. And once you go into civil engineering, you're going to have an engineering career fair at your school, most likely once a year or once a semester. And from my personal experience at the career fair, my senior year of college, I would go up and talk to recruiters, and I would walk off to the side to take notes or just take a deep breath. And there were actually recruiters walking around the career fair seeking out people with civil engineering badges. So it got to the point where I would be trying to take a break from talking to people, and I would have recruiters walking up to me trying to get me to come over to their table, which is not something that most other engineering paths experience at the career fair, by the way. It is very unique to civil engineering because there is such a huge need for civil engineers right now. And so I just really highly recommend doing your research into this area first before getting into college, or hopefully before your senior year of college, so that you have an idea of what to expect once you graduate. This leads us to our fifth and final point, which is result satisfaction. One of the coolest things, in my opinion, about civil engineering, and one of the biggest things that drew me towards it and structural engineering, is the fact that you can create visible, tangible results of what you're working on. Being able to drive around the community that you live in and say, hey, I helped design that building, or I designed this highway, or I helped design the water treatment plant that's helping you drink clean water every single day. I truly think that is one of the coolest, most unique things about civil engineering. And I think that one of the best ways to prevent getting burnt out throughout your career is by taking a huge amount of pride in your work. And just, it can be a lot of responsibility, but having this amount of pride in your work allows you to go into the office every single day and truly understand that you are making a difference in the things that you do. And it's also so cool to be able to drive by these projects and be able to just to point out the quirkiest little details about them. I mean, you truly know everything about that project, and it's something that you can experience every single day. And it may be getting a little too nerdy about this aspect of civil engineering, but it is truly one of the largest reasons why I chose this degree path. So that wraps up my 5 reasons why I chose civil engineering and why you should also consider choosing civil engineering. I would really appreciate it if you left a comment down below on maybe why you chose to major in civil engineering, because there are a lot of other reasons that I probably didn't even think about. But I look forward to reading those comments. Please leave a like down below if you enjoyed the video, and also subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be releasing a video once or twice every single week related to civil engineering, structural engineering, just other basic life topics. But I really appreciate you watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.